Okay, I promise you, this video is going to be far more entertaining than you thought it was going to be when you first saw the headline. Matter of fact, when you saw the headline, you probably had the same expression that Rick has on his face in this picture. Now, I do want to kick this off by confirming that this is not clickbait. If you see headlines, if you hear fan rumors, no, this is something coming from TV Guide. It says, Jeffrey has been discussing the notion of a Negan spinoff. I can't do this. This is the most ridiculous image of Negan that was ever possibly taken. I don't even, stop looking at me. Slit throat Negan. Go down there. There you go. All right, so it says, the notion of a Negan spinoff project has been in discussion for a couple years now. As the actor noted, for 2 years I've talked to Walking Dead Chief Content Officer Scott Gimple about it. I know that they've talked about doing all sorts of other things, movies and whatever else. I don't know too much about it. I know it could be an exciting opportunity to tell that story. Now keep in mind, he says a couple years now. He's only been in one episode in season 6 at the very end, and then all of season 7, all of season 8, and they're currently filming season 9. So it's likely, it's possible, that when he signed on for Negan in the TV show, they could have mentioned the possibility of a spin-off movie. That's absolutely possible. And his casting could make even more sense. They casted somebody who's no stranger to being on the big screen. They casted somebody who most likely can handle being on the big screen. Who else? Who else would be good? What else would be good? And this is where my brain exploded. They don't have to do exactly this, but you guys know I love coming up with creative ideas, and I love this. Imagine, you're in the theater watching the Negan spin-off movie. It's all black. You can hear tires on gravel. You can hear someone nervous. Brakes squeal. You start hearing what sounds like angry people, a few thuds. The screen opens and we see Eugene getting ripped out of the RV. Savior's got him. And now they show what we didn't see at the end of season 6. That they captured Eugene, that Saviors were in the woods, and they were relaying the position of Rick and them and what direction they were heading. And they relayed that to Simon. Simon and them get into position. You don't have to show every little detail, but we're about to witness how Negan got set up and ready to ambush Rick and them. They knew they were going north, for example. Boom, it's easy. Get it set up. They're heading in a straight line. They'll come out of the woods somewhere around here. This is an open lot, yada, yada, yada. So they get all set up. Negan comes out of the shadows, introduces himself to Eugene. We have Simon there. Eugene's got his black eye. Negan give him an iconic, or not an iconic, but something that suits his character about relax. You know, something to Eugene. Relax. Don't be so scared. It's only going to get worse from here. Or whatever little taunt you want to do. Get a good writer to write his taunt, okay? Yeah, anyway, so then Negan goes into the RV. And he's looking around, add in a joke or two, as he's looking like who would shoot from inside the RV. Because remember, Rick shot at the wolves. There's bullet holes. You could do pretty much anything. But then Negan spots something. It could be anything. It could be something small that somebody likely dropped. He picks it up. He sits down. And this gets his attention. And the story flashes back. It flashes back to before the apocalypse. Right before, a week before. And it shows him and his wife. And it shows just a quick little idea of who he is and his life situation. And then bring it into the apocalypse. And this is kind of based off of the comic where they showed him and his wife had cancer and yada yada yada. They don't have to do that exactly, but I'm just using that as a foundation. So you could show that. You could show how that affected him. You could show that he didn't have the strength to kill his wife. And then he left the hospital with somebody. That person died. He tried surviving, meeting up with people. They kept dying. You can do a similar storyline like it was in the comic. And then he either finds the sanctuary or runs into who else would be a fan favorite to bring back from the dead, literally? Simon. We already knew he was going to be in the beginning, that little snippet. But now we see the origin of Simon linking up with Negan. Not only that, but we have the origin of Dwight. at the sanctuary. Dwight and a little bit of Sherry. Sherry becoming Negan's first wife. You have all the origins of that. You have the origin of Lucille, the barbed wire baseball bat. Him making that over the course of this story. Now, Simon, Negan, and then Dwight as like an errand boy on the side. We don't know exactly what happened at the sanctuary. We got a hint that it might have been run by somebody else who wasn't running it right. So let's just say, for the sake of this idea, it would be the villain of this story would be somebody that Negan, with the help of Simon, defeated. And it would have to be, it's a movie, so it has to be an event. During this event, when they're still possibly building the structure of how things will eventually work, Simon's dealing with the Oceanside group, and he ends up killing them all. Killing all the men over 12. So now we get the backstory to that. We don't have to. I'm just adding some things that would most likely fit in here. We know what happened at this point in time, so you would either reference it, or you can imagine how vicious that scene would be in the movie, how dark that could be. That can add layers to Simon in the movie and really showcase him being the villain type. Now they defeat the unnamed real big bad in the movie. And we can even see snippets of Dwight and Sherry stealing the medicine and running away. And then we see them come back. We can see Dwight get his burn face for the movie. Again, we don't have to see it, but it would be a nice little thing to add if it is happening during this point in time. And then from here on out, we get a sound. Just when we think Negan has conquered it all, we get a sound of one of his outposts were hit. Men died. We show Negan going to the outpost, seeing the aftermath of that, and in a real unique, weird way. If you watch the movie only and kind of forget about the show, or if you're a new fan and you watch the movie first, in a twisted way, have it set up to where when you watch it, man, you can see the dark stuff that Negan does. He's not no Boy Scout, you know what I mean? But you can kind of see where Rick and gang feels like the villains at that point. You don't get the whole picture until you watch the whole show and the movie together. But I love that idea. I absolutely love that idea so much. Now you're going to have to do the breakdown of society, him on his own, connecting with the sanctuary. Try not to keep it closed into one thing. Make it big and open and breathe, and not focus on this big bad climax where, cliche-like, the villain's defeated, right? And then that's the end of Negan's story. No, the villain is defeated, and then it rolls on just a little bit longer to connect the dots with the show. And then maybe however you want to end it, have Negan holding that item that made him think back to his past, and I could picture Jeffrey Dean Morgan's face, this mug right here, just looking at that item. You can even have an item that it annoys him, just that he thought back about all that, and he just tosses the item onto the ground. It could be something small, like the size of like a little candy bar or something. It could be something big. He stares at something on the wall, and he just gets up, and we hear that pounded on the door. What was it? I think Simon pounded on the door, and that's when Negan cracks his neck, opens the door, and then he steps out. Something like that, connecting it to the main show. That's where you would have to polish it, because you need to have that ending that is triumphant. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh man, that would be crazy to add it where he's looking at that piece and he gets up and he goes to exit the RV, and you'd have to do some kind of cool transitioning shot where we think we're going to follow him out into what happens on the show, but he opens his eyes and he looks over and there's just like a jail cell there, and we see Negan in the jail cell thinking back on everything that led him up into this point. You can even have a Rick cameo. Fans would love that. A little cameo talking about his journey and what put him here. And this is what makes it difficult to pin like that hoorah ending, that wow, that, because you got to have that one moment where it ends and leaves you just like, ooh, that was nice. They wrapped that up tight. I don't know what's coming in season 9, but take something out of that and have it in that ending, whether it's him trying to escape, wanting to escape, or him actually turning a new leaf, or looking back at the things he did and in disgust, and highlight that moment for that ending. I don't know. There's a lot there I think fans would love. I think there's so much more potential to a Negan spinoff than some fans are given credit for. Now, if you hate Negan as a character, or maybe you don't even like the actor or something, you're just going to hate this idea no matter what. And it doesn't have to be my idea. As a fan, I'm just sharing what I think would be so damn fun. I love stuff like that. I love watching. If this is actually Negan from the show, I want it to connect in ways to the show. I remember reading the novels based on the comic, and there was moments where they connected, and it got to be so much fun. And then right at the peak where you were loving it, for whatever reason, there was moments where it pulled away, and it took your focus and showed something else. And you get what they're doing because you read the comic, you know that story. Like, we don't need to see Negan give his speech and then beat Abe and Glenn all over again. We saw it on the show. We don't need to see that again. But I would like to see the Eugene and the capturing and connect it in ways we haven't seen but we know about. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. You guys give me your thoughts and opinions down in that comment box. Do you think it would be cool to see remnants of stuff that happened on the show in the movie? Like the RV, the trap, being in the RV, capturing what's his name? Capturing Dwight again when he left with Daryl's bike, even capturing Eugene in the beginning. Simon's background story. Do you want to see any of this? Is anything of this cool? Or are you still looking at me with that look? Be honest. Thoughts and opinions in that comment box. I'm done talking, so it's your turn.